Dr. Shannon M. Clark. I'm a double board certified OBGYN and maternal fetal medicine specialist. And now I want to come to everybody on social media with a very important point. That is, when we do research as clinicians and publish in peer-reviewed journals, that doesn't change clinical practice. One article will not change clinical practice. Let me give you an example. I could look up any topic on obstetrics, which is what I do, and pretty much likely find some peer-reviewed journal article that supports pretty much anything. But that doesn't mean that one article is going to change anything. So when you're on social media and you see some type of account throwing up an article and saying this is what this article says, therefore it's true, that's not the case. If we changed clinical obstetrical practice based on every single article that came out, we would be changing standards of care pretty much every minute of every day, which is not A, sustainable, and B, not in the best interest of patient care. So we look at the totality of the evidence on a certain topic, like gestational diabetes, pregestational diabetes, hypertension in pregnancy, preterm labor, cervical link screening, before we put out recommendations for care. And that's where these major medical organizations come in. In obstetrics, the main medical organizations are ACOG and SMFM. So those two are the ones that continually and consistently review the totality of the evidence and put forth practice bulletins as recommendations for obstetrical care on various topics and various aspects of obstetrical care. Remember, we have to look at, for each study, what type of study it was done, how many subjects it was done on, the study design, the statistical analysis, the conclusions, the biases, weaknesses of the study, the limitations of the study. There are so many things that go into appropriately reviewing that study, which a lot of these accounts don't do. So when I debunk and fact check a lot of these accounts on information they're putting out to pregnant individuals, they'll like to show me or throw up a PMID of an article that they found. That doesn't mean anything unless they know that article or the strength of that article and that research. And if it's even a research study, a lot of times they'll send me articles that are actually review articles, not even research studies. They don't know the difference. And B, if that article has contributed to the current standard of care and current practice recommendations. All of these articles are not strong enough to do that. Which brings me to my second point. Everyone that says, I researched this and this is what I found, they're not researching. They're Googling or OBID searching or PubMed searching articles. A researcher is a person who carries out academic or scientific research. So when someone calls themselves a researcher or says they researched X, Y, and Z, you need to ask them, did you carry out academic or scientific research? Number one. And number two, did you publish your research findings in any peer-reviewed journal? If so, send me those links. There is no oversight on what information is being sent out to pregnant individuals, which is very, very scary to me, and which is why I do what I do. Because people throw out information there, they don't even know how to interpret articles, they don't even know what they're looking at. So I know this is a long video, but it's a very important one. Everybody has to watch out for these accounts on social media who claim to have credentials that they don't, insight that they don't, and understanding of the topic at hand that they don't. It is very dangerous. So I want to keep doing what I'm doing so that you guys can better pick out these accounts and know when those red flags and those antennas start waving.